Hey everybody! We are going to be working on our next make project. This will happen in your advisory groups. I think I can see that you're all sitting there in your advisory groups as I speak. So, get ready. We're going to make this really cool Delta kite. It's collapsible, it's light, it flies really easily, and on our next community day in April, it will be soaring aloft with all the other ones. So let's go make it. This is ripstop nylon. It's a very strong material composed of little nylon cells, so it does what it says. It stops rips from happening. And what I have here is a pattern for the Delta Wing kite. And you want to lay it out on the edge, and there will be tracing stations when we do this with our advisory groups. And then you take a fabric pencil and simply run it along the edge. Of the kite pattern.
Hi, as Stuart has just shown us, we traced the main body of the Delta kite, and what we're going to do now is trace out the yoke. And this is an important part of the kite. It's where it is hinged to the string. So, in order to do that, we're going to take our template. You're going to simply hold it at the end of the fabric. By the way, in some kite circles, this is known as the triangle of death. Not here, but
Do it on the end,
on the end.
so we don't waste fabric.
Good call. As my colleague has just mentioned to me, if you do this on the end, like that, Stuart,
Mm-hmm.
hold the template down, take your fabric pencil, or eyeliner, as some people like to use, and simply trace out your yoke. And that's pretty light. Okay, so now I'm going to take my scissors and start cutting. I'm left-handed, so it doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed, but you want to stay on that line. And I would say, take your time and try to follow your tracing lines as close as possible. It will also be helpful, again, being left-handed, I have to turn this around a bit. Just going to stay on the line. So here we have the two pieces, the main pieces of the kite, the main body, and then we have the yoke. And this yoke is going to go about 6 inches down from the tip. And this is going to be a stabilizer and also a pull point for the string.
Here you see Stuart and Orlando, or rather Mr. Lipkowitz and Mr. Leba, pinning the yoke to the main triangle of the kite. They have arranged it so that from the tip of the triangle down here to the bottom base of this triangle is about, what would you call that, 10 inches?
Mm-hmm.
And basically this yoke piece is cut from an equilateral triangle. The midline of this triangle is lined up with the midline of the larger triangle, but their points are at opposite ends. And the sides have been moved in about, what's that distance, Mr. Lipkowitz?
Probably, an inch and a quarter.
An inch and a quarter in from the very edge. And how far is that point from the midline?
From the midline,
We've placed a
It
pin.
is about 8 inches.
About 8 inches.
These measurements don't have to be exact.
Right. So yeah, you can eyeball it a little bit. It doesn't matter a great deal. Try and get it symmetrical. That's what's important.
Try to learn from your mistakes.
That's what's most important, Mr. Leba.
Ow. You can see we have both pieces pinned together, and what we're going to do now is sew along the edge of our yoke. And you can use a running stitch, you can use a sewing machine if you have one, or any way you feel comfortable sewing. Big stitches, small stitches.
Just make it stick.
Make it stick. Make it stay. Make it strong.
All right, so you can see we sewed the yoke onto the main piece. And now I'm going to show you how to make the pockets where the dowels will go for supporting the structure of the kite. So what I'm going to do is flip it over so that the yoke side is down. And we're going to start folding it over, let me see, pinning it over on the sides here like this, but there are a couple of tricky parts here. Because in addition to making pockets for dowels to run along the side, we have to put in little pockets to hold a dowel that goes across the edge. Across the middle. Like you see here, there are pockets that have to be stitched in. So, to make those pockets, what I did was I made, these are right triangles, equilateral on those two sides, and I'm going to fold them up into little triangles. So the first thing I did to make sure that the cut edges are on the inside, fold them together like that. And then you fold it into another little right triangle like this, and I'm going to fold it one more time. And the pocket, there's like a little opening slot this way. When we pin it in, it's going to be about halfway down the length. And again, you don't have to be super anal retentive about where, but you want to try and make it symmetrical on both sides. I'm going to pin over this edge, and I'm going to want to pin it in so that the dowel can go in here like my finger. Okay? And so we're going to do one on each side like that. The other tricky part about this is getting the very tip right. So if we can, what we're going to do is I'm going to fold over another right triangle about, the height of that is probably about 1.5 inches at the tip. And then I'm going to fold this, each of these flaps over so that what's the top of this fold will come to the midline of that downward fold. Like this on both sides. So it makes a pretty neat little top here. I'm going to pin that, and when you're sewing this, which you'll do after you've got it all pinned, I'm going to reinforce with another pin, what you want to be very careful of is sewing along this edge of the fabric and stopping here so that each of the two dowels that we're going to put in the edge can come all the way up towards the tip of the kite. So once you have that part pinned, it's a more simple process of just sort of folding this down. You could pin both of these sides down first. You want to make sure that you're leaving enough room for your 1/4 inch diameter dowel to fit through here when you sew it. So it has to be bigger than that. You don't want it a lot bigger than that. So when you get down to the point where you want this pocket in, then you're going to pin the pocket in. So I'm not measuring now, but I'm just going to eyeball and say about here is where I want this little pocket. So I've placed that in. Again, remember you want this to open up like that for the dowel. Pin it down. Pins. Okay, and you're going to keep going to pin the whole side, and you're going to carefully sew this seam. And you might want to reinforce this part because it is a stress point. So the dowels are going to be able to go here, and the dowels are going to go in here.
We have to now have the dowels, which give the whole skin, which is what we've made so far, a skeleton. And what we have is you'll have dowels available for you. You insert them this way, okay? And then measure kind of just beyond the tip of where the pocket is. And that should be good, because you want it to stretch out a little bit. Maybe I'll even do a little more.
And you err on the side of too long, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
err
if
on the
it's too
side of
short,
too long.
it's not going to work. If it's too long, you can trim a little off.
Long is good.
Then you take some sandpaper, hold it in your hand, and just do that. What we're trying to get off are all the sharp edges. We're trying to have a nice rounded edge, because the dowel will cut your nylon. So
It can puncture
it's
it.
got a sharp edge here, so do the same thing. Kind of roll it around so that you have a nice, smooth, rounded edge. Then insert it like this. And there you have the first cross piece. Now, we're going to do the same thing with the side pieces. We're going to smooth it off, insert them along the edge here. To attach the grommet, which is the point we're going to attach the kite line to, we squeeze the yoke so we're at the midpoint of the main body of the kite. Then we take the kite and use the cutting tool and cut through it. From there, we have the little anvil, and we put the one that stands up, we put it through both sides like that. Over that, we take the other disc, put it down.
So, this is Hans and I'm Franz, and we're here to pump you up! In any case, as you can see, we've squared off the edge of the Delta kite here. We've sewn it, and we've actually reinforced it with some stitching here and attached streamers to give it a little bit of balance. I'm sorry, Kale.